that guy.
Oh, there you go.
Welcome to the Tony Gebhardt Show. I'll be your host today, Tony Gebhardt.
I was saying to her earlier, I said, if you want to watch somebody go ape shit with a dog, like Tony had just the most interesting high dog voice to get him, get these dogs riled right the hell
I
up.
can't believe you remember that.
Oh, why not? I mean,
Oh, the puppy. Yeah.
Oh.
yeah.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is the Tony Gebhardt Show, and I'm joined by a good friend of mine and his significant other, Kevin Reeves and Christina Campbell. Sonic Synergy. Hey, welcome to the show. What's going on, guys?
How's it going? What's happening?
What's happening? You guys have been busy. You guys have been real busy. Been checking you out on Facebook, listening to the radio show a little bit, checking out some of the reels, and it's a lot of fun. I'm having fun. Like, I'm smiling. I'm like, this is the quirky kind of stuff that I would expect out of Michigan. And I'm here for it.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of home. So thank you.
Yeah.
I love that.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, Kevin, you specifically, it's been about 3 years since we had you come onto the show to talk a little bit about what's going on in music, just some of your philosophy on artificial intelligence. And obviously a lot has changed in 3 years. We've had quite a few shifts on both of our ends, and I just want to give you a little bit of space to kind of share a little bit about what Sonic Synergy is, and we'll get into some of the radio and just really what is it that you guys are trying to do outreach-wise. Why don't we go ahead and start with Sonic Synergy? Tell me a little bit about that. What sparked it? What's the goal with the program?
So we met on Clubhouse because we were, during COVID, producing these concerts. And when I say concerts, like online, we think in numbers, and we think of like, I produced one that had like 3,000 uniques or whatever. When I look at this, I never look at numbers. So if I say something like regarding concerts, it's most likely 10 people, right? Because that's just kind of, but we affect the fewest or the most amount of people we can as we go, right? So it's like, if 10 people show up for a thing, 100 people show up, they're still affected, right? So they were very small concerts. We did a concert for for Ukraine. It was not in any way comparison to the big one that ACB did, where it was like 14 hours. Right. And I think with the matched thing, we raised about $1,000. So like it was small fry, but it was still important. So we were producing those shows. Like, she was producing them, I was doing them. It was where like you were on one.
I was gonna say you were on Summer Send-Off.
Yeah, you were on the Summer Send-Off one.
I remember that.
So that's kind of what you were on, was essentially what Sonic Synergy was an experiment for.
Right.
It was like, okay, we think if we just put enough heads together, we put together a show that's like an in the round sort of thing, and it's got to have a little bit of production beforehand, where people are deciding like, how many songs do people get, what order do we go in, and then that's what the MC, whoever's going to do it that night. So one time it was Christopher Paulus, one time it was me, So yeah, we decided, well, let's just call it a thing, and that's our little conglomerate group of people that are putting these things on. And so now we are more than just an online thing. We've become this, online concerts. We've become this radio show, and we've become a keys, drums, music duo. So we can go out and just, play a bunch of things, entertain people. We are, as far as the online concerts, our goal is to get really good at that and start doing these benefit shows where we get a bunch of people into a Facebook stream or something where people are making requests and they have to tip the band. Right. But instead of tipping the band, they have to do the GoFundMe link at the top of the screen, or whatever link goes to the thing. So it's like the band is, all of us who are involved in a thing like this we are out there soliciting for tips right, for look, if you want Pink Pony Club, it's $50,
Right?
Because I don't know that I'm going to play that today, but it's $50. I'll do it.
Right.
It's a $50 free bird because everybody's so cliche, right? So you do all these things where you're kind of jokingly demanding money, and you're kind of doing the whole tip the piano players thing, but really what it's doing is it's going to something immediately, like somebody's trying to get a car.
Right.
Or whatever. So we go and we do this massive online thing for helping them get a vehicle. It'd be great to be in these situations where we end up getting enough numbers where we're doing big shows that online via Zoom or one of these things where, we're a couple $1,000s are at stake going towards a thing. So the idea was to do these online shows where we beg for tips in some funny ways and then get people to donate, but it's donating directly to a cause. I think that there's some fun ways of using that. Look, here's the thing. I play in a corporate wedding band. People pay me personally $400 to play Benny and the Jets, a couple times a month. And that actually does well for us. And then on top of that, the duo is starting to get, we get this regular gig at a Thai place, and that's some really good cash coming in to a degree. And then we have all these other projects. So it's so if we decide where we're look, we've been blessed and we're going to pour out on other people, and how much does it really take to sit behind this keyboard, which is already hooked up and it's already running into a Reaper rig with sounds. Mm-hmm. And we just start using that to try to, do good and raise funds for people. Because when it comes to the cover band stuff, you're not necessarily paying me to play the music. You're paying me to haul the crap in there,
right.
And haul the crap out. And if it's a high-end wedding, to be in a $500 suit, which is not my fave. But to sit behind here, okay, so, if I made a living as a guy sitting in a room playing music like this on these, people have done this and they've built huge empires doing this. I mean, we've already seen it with these influencers and whatnot. Sure. But okay, so fine. If we were able to, make that an income thing, that's whatever. But I'm more interested to see how many nonprofits I can get in front of and be like, hey, we want to come in and entertain your crowd in Zoom for a while and have people, request songs and whatever. And then people come up with these crazy fundraiser things, right? So we're just kind of involved in that kind of stuff. The radio show is, think of an obnoxious morning zoo, sort of high energy, Stern-esque pacing. Okay, and I only say Stern-esque pacing,
which means it has no pacing.
Yeah, but zero shock attempts to knock people down.
Right.
If we're gonna do anything for shock value, it's gonna be like when I was making fun of inspiration porn and I developed this musical genre called cripplecore, right? I'll take that into some really controversial stuff. But what won't happen on my show, and that seems to happen on all these morning zoo shows, is the goal is that people will be lifted up and not brought down. That is the rule. The rule that I have made is that if I'm going to mention your name on my show, the guardrails, the moral guardrails that I have put up and I have enforced and reinforced is I damn better be willing to put an @ sign in front of it.
Oh, there you go. Bingo.
So if I'm going to mention you, I better be able to mention you. Because the thing is that nobody needs this energy of dude, did you hear what that guy said about you on the show yesterday? And this shit happens all the time because we love it. We love it. We are
rage
so
thing. Yeah.
Doped up in our chasing of dopamine for making others feel awful. So now, as far as being shocky and challenging when it comes to barriers and attitudes and systems, I'll drag that through the dirt all day long because it needs to happen.
It's perfect for you. No, it's perfect.
We will do that, but we will not. Character assassination does not occur. We do not. I'm not into any kind of this kind of quick likes or whatever. So we are literally like it's like the show that talks about everything from microphones to like mental health from a metaphysical level. I mean, it's everything.
You get it. Yeah, you get, and that's why I started this show 3 years ago. Was, you know, I always looked around me, and I see so many people who like to bring each other down, whether it be, you know, through the @ symbol, right, or, you know, in these you know, micro Discord channels, Team Talk, whatever. You know, people are so toxic. You know, there's this consistency of brokenness that I've always noticed. Is like, why aren't we lifting each other up? You know what I mean? Like, there's too much of that inner community discrimination going on, and you know, we already deal with enough discrimination as is. On the surface, why do we have to double it down and make it even worse for each other? I love what you're doing because it creates such a safe camaraderie for everyone involved. And I've listened to a couple episodes on HKC Radio, so I love it. You guys are just fantastic together. So lots of respect from my end as another creator, right? Because, you know, I've always looked up to you. I mean, for years and years and years, you were one of my influences getting into doing content and doing music. So, you know what I mean? Why don't we pass those torches on? We try to, you know, mimic what we see in a positive light. So, you know, kudos, man.
I think there's a change. There's been, like, for some of us who are like older, we're talking like 45, 46. Okay. Me. I'm 48, so that's the thing. Like, fucking old people.
Look how he danced around his own age, though.
Like, okay, so here's the thing. I never want to be the get off my lawn guy because they drive me nuts. Like, I don't want I want to be 85 and going, hey, did anybody see that new bot they did that built the thing? Did you guys see how that works? Is that actually any good? Right? I want to be that guy at 85, okay? But as somebody who's been in the community with a bunch of the regulars, you know, we talk about like the, you know, and the, like all the people that are kind of in this little circle of kind of blind kind sort of, I'm not going to say fame or whatever it is, but people get really well known in these sort of online blind social circles. They're pretty wide ranging. Sure. And here's what I've seen occurring I've seen it occurring together with people and separately all at the same time. And I know it sounds nebulous, but you'll see what I'm saying. There's a lot of people that are waking up in their own way and in their own time to understanding like a lot of their self-worth. This whole idea of like the Mel Robbins let them thing. Okay. Because here's what I see is I see like back in the day when, you know, 20 years ago or whatever, and people were on Team Talk. Sorry. I was reading the wrong script.
Yeah, there you go. Read the wrong script. I love it.
So when we were on Team Talk, somebody would get something stuck in their craw, okay, where they would like get into this like holding court and being superior to a bunch of blind people in a room, and they would be saying that, like, let's say they were knocking. I'll give you a couple of examples. Sure. We'll go from like trivial to non-trivial. So we'll start with like blindy internet radio, right? Because that was like so there'd be somebody sitting there. Why are these blind people in their stupid blindy radio and they're stupid and it's stupid and they talk about nothing for 10 people and why it's stupid, right? Those people 20 years ago would be sitting there going, I mean, but we like it. It's kind of neat though. We kind of, but I mean, right? But you're still taking it. Right. You're still taking it. You're defending yourself, but it's kind of in this sort of nah sort of way. Okay. Now we go to a full extreme is when you get somebody who starts talking about blind people who stim in a room with a bunch of blind people who are probably stimming. And what happens? that person starts like getting all up in arms about why do these blind people and they're rocking and they're stimming and their thing and their thing. What are you guys, autistic? I mean, it's amazing how the horrible things that get said. And 20 years ago, the people that would potentially be stimming would either be absolutely dead silent because like hell, they're going to admit that they do something like that. Right. Or they're going to be a little bit, but I mean, some people have, but some people have, right? That was 20 years ago. There are so many people that have woken up to this thing where it's like, here's the deal. This is what I do. This is who I am. If this drives you nuts, get out.
Get.
Right? I mean, it's. I'm seeing this in a lot of people where they're saying, no, I know what a boundary is, and that's not going to happen anymore. And then I'm also seeing people who were really antagonistic back in the day and really like ideological dill holes about so many things in the blind community, and they've discovered, man, I guess I shouldn't have been bullying people that much, because I think COVID and the weird state of the world has kind of changed everybody, where people have gone through this awakening of what really matters. Like this is all stupid.
First of all, I love that you're addressing this. We're getting into some deeper philosophical areas here, and I was having a conversation with my partner too about it, and I think it's this awakening of emotional maturity, self-awareness, which I think is something that a lot of people have struggled with over the years, myself included. We go through this identity crisis of who are we, where do we go, what do we do, right? Because in many cases, people who are blind, will be brought up in various different environments, either the absent parent or the helicopter parent.
Right.
I've never seen a happy medium. I've always seen one or the other. And that has its direct consequences on, how we develop as people. My problem, I used to be an alcoholic. That was my problem, because I was basically reflecting my father, you know what I mean? And it caused me to be a raging I would judge people. I would show that prejudice absently without even realizing it. It took me really, to sober up, move out, get a divorce, come out of the closet, and do all these other things to really figure out who I was, right? A lot of life changes in that case, because you look back. It's like, wow, you know what I mean? And from a personal note, you're one of the few friends that I've had for many, 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 many years. You never made me feel bad, and that's something I respect about you, is even at my darkest time, you were just like, all right, yeah, he's a jackass, but let's figure it out, that was always the impression I got, and I value that.
From a mental health space, if you want to know what the Tony conversation sounded like, they kind of sounded like this. Like when you were at your darkest, the conversation was, okay, so here's what you have to know is that he is not in a good spot. There is some destructive behavior going on. And so you guys just have to be mindful of that. You have to kind of watch out for it. And you also have to have a little bit of grace at the same time, because we don't know what's really going on.
Sure.
And so that was like when we were having the Tony conversations, that it was, there were those of us who were trying to be incredibly diplomatic, and, and so, but that was, I don't know, that was, like I said, I think in the past, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years, because of what happened with COVID.
Yeah.
Where, and I probably harped on this a little bit in the couple of years ago show, but it was it's weird. Okay. So think of it like this. When people talk about 9/11,
sure.
Okay. They talk about one moment I was watching the Smurfs, or I was putting a book on a shelf. And the next moment somebody said, did you see what just happened? And my entire world changed. Right. That was the
trauma.
That was the sort of experience that everybody had with 9/11. those of us who were old enough to remember it and whatnot. Okay. So, but COVID was completely different. It wasn't like, okay, one day I was just kind of going through my life and then the next day we were locked down. Everybody I knew were going through transitions at that same exact time.
Oh my
there were
gosh.
so many people. Like I left Kalamazoo.
Yep. I was heading down to Little Rock, Arkansas around that time to start school, and everything changed, and I had to get forced essentially to go live. I went to go live with my sister since my living plans got tossed, and was with my sister for months. Did my schooling online. Everything changed.
And so it was like, you're probably aware of like while I was in Kalamazoo, I had gone through that sort of year of not really being able to play or sing because of that whole like vestibular
Vertigo, right?
problem and vertigo. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
so
you were having some gnarly vertigo.
Turned me into a fucking monster. And I felt horrible. And I could no longer show up in my relationship anymore. And it was like I was, so we ended up parting ways. And it was amicable and all of the things. And then I came to Traverse City to kind of hang with my parents for a little bit. I was going to be isolated. I knew that much. But that's at the same time when COVID hit, and then we were all isolated. So literally there were those of us who were let's just say that the entire world with COVID was getting kicked while they were already down. And so we think about what that did and where people were hanging out on these platforms because they literally had nothing else to do and nowhere else to go. And so people started like connecting in ways where we started to learn like what the hell is important, right? Like what matters.
What do you look for in a genuine connection with another human?
Yeah. And so let us never go back to the way we did this before.
Right.
Like never. Let us never forget. And so I think, with all of that, that's kind of how, what I think is happening especially in the blind community. There's a lot more emphasis put on mental health. There's a lot more emphasis put on people saying, look, like we're starting to kick the people to the curb that were the ones who were the antagonizers that were like, don't show your feelings because you're weak, or whatever. Like we're kind of, I'm kicking those people out of my existence because I no longer want them there, right? And so we're surrounding ourselves with people who are saying it's okay to be not okay. It's okay to be incredibly self-aware. And then what happens is everybody's dynamic changes in the way they interact with one another, and now it doesn't turn into like, toxic trailer hour.
Well, a couple things to that fact, and then I got a question for Christina here. What has really blown my mind these past few years of self-exploration in my lane is I've really gravitated to the tree of life philosophy, where you have your leaves, you have your branches, and you have your roots. And I'm working on a new motivational program for 2026 that's going to kind of go through this process, right? But just in a nutshell, right? We have those people that are those leaves, when things get windy and tough in our life, they're gone, right? But leaves always come back. But then you have branches, when things get tough, like super, super tough, they can't hold it anymore, they go, right? But then you have your roots. And those roots are always there even when the tree is cut down. And I feel like right now, for a lot of people, they're trying to really identify who are those leaves, branches, and roots. Mm-hmm. Who do we prioritize, right? Instead of worrying about veiny nonsense or, clicks, likes, and everything like that. I'd rather count on my one hand people that I know who will have my back in the worst case scenario, instead of trying to look at a follower count or, a subscription list of people who, God bless them, right? Love the folks that listen to our show, and the just thousands of people on YouTube, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it's like sometimes I have to separate the wind from the breeze. Yep. And figure out who's really there for me, and am I there for myself? Christina, Kevin and I've been yapping quite a bit, but just with all of that, it said, like, what's your take on this since you've recently joined the flock within the past X amount of years, 3 or 4 years. Kevin and I've been in each other's lives for many, many, many years. But what's your take on all of this and just your observations from your angle?
So I definitely experienced COVID, since that's kind of what kicked all this off, right? Like, in a similar way. And it was kind of pivotal to my own, like, self growth. I kind of lived in this isolated bubble of my world, and it didn't necessarily touch blind kind or really anybody outside of whatever I was doing. And what COVID did for me was provide this space, blind kind or otherwise, right, where I could expand some of the things that I was really like feeling, and actually put that out there to people, and find a group of people that thought, felt, and were very supportive of the same types of things that I held close to myself. So, finding somebody like Kevin and a bunch of our other friends that we hold in common, or that we've grown through this time, really was and is kind of amazing for me, because, again, I was in this space. I didn't necessarily associate with a bunch of blind people. I have blind friends, but in the scheme of the world, it was, again, like my own little bubble compared to like nationwide. I mean, we have friends in California, I have friends in Maryland, New York, Florida, Texas, like all over now. And we can truly say that they're friends, because even, towards the end of the real COVID issues, right? A huge subset of us got together and actually hung out as a group and met in person. And that's when I met Kevin, like, in person. And, we haven't obviously gone back, but you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, rest is history. Love that.
Yeah. And it's so cool. And, having the ability to, work alongside your partner and feel very much almost in lockstep as far as philosophy is really kind of awesome. So, like, this whole sonic synergy thing started out as it always was going to be kind of this overarching idea of a group of people who performed art in whatever way, shape, or form that took place. And at the time, we were in audio space because of Clubhouse and COVID and stuff, but now it's become a space with a radio show, a space with a duo, and they all carry the same name, and the concept and the philosophy and the feeling of what it is has always been there, and it holds true throughout every I guess thread of what sonic synergy and what we as working partners and partners are. Amazing.
Well, hey, we're running out of time here. I want to thank the two of you so much for sharing your insight as just I like that blind kind. That's a good one. I like that. That's a good catch. # blind kind. I just thank you to the two of you, for being those change makers and really just creating a safe space for people to express themselves. Mm-hmm. That's how we do this. Is creating, whereas before things were hard, how can we make it easier for people coming in? How can we help people heal, right? And I feel like the two of you are really spearheading that, and that's a good thing. So thank you.
I appreciate that.
Oh, appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, where can people check out Sonic Synergy? Let's go.
So, sonicsynergy.space, SONICSYNERGY.space. That will take you to a link tree. Link trees, if you've not seen one, they are like sort of the tree that has the leaves and the branches and the roots of all the different, see what I did there, brought it back to your thing. But it has all of the things involved in all of your web properties. So you can go to sonicsynergy.space and you can see all of our other stuff. If you want to hear the show archives, it's sonicsynergy.space/show.
Well, there you go. Nice.
And that's where you can hear all of the archives with all of the technical difficulties, and there are lots of them. Things break every 2 seconds, and I have ADHD, and I can't manage it fast
you
enough.
are you are very neurodivergent. I do have to say that.
Yes,
yes, you are,
very
and
much.
I love it. I adore it.
I've come to come to notice that. But anyway, yes. So sonicsynergy.space, sonicsynergy.space/show is where you can hear all the old shows, and there'll be more up there.
Perfect. All right, Kevin, Christina, we'll do this again. Love it. Maybe we can do a feature at some point here pretty soon. And yeah, this has been the Tony Gebhardt Show. We'll catch you guys next time.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. Send an email to the show at info@tonygebhard.me. Always remember, you matter every day.